Given the events of the past week, I felt like I needed a little bit of retail therapy, so I went to my local thrift shop and I did a little record digging. And as you can see, got some 12-inch LPs, some 10-inch, and a few 45s. It was a good day. It was all one shop. When you live in Vermont, the nearest thrift shop is about 20 minutes away, but that one's pretty much garbage. So I have to drive an extra 20 minutes to get to a different one. And this was all there waiting for me. Everything's been ultrasonically cleaned. And so it's sitting here still in its state, just so I can show you what great shape some of this stuff is in. Normally I collect 78s, as anyone who frequents this channel knows. But I also really like 45s. I actually have a jukebox. It's not in here right now because jukeboxes are crazy finicky and mine's got an issue with it, but I do have a Garrard Type A turntable that's got a great 45 setup on it, hooked through a Magnavox, an old Magnavox tube amp console stereo. And so I've still been having fun playing my 45s. This one I probably own on a couple different 78 Mercuries. But this one is sort of like, what is it, Catcher in the Rye. What was that Mel Gibson movie where he just couldn't help buying Catcher in the Rye every time he saw it? Every time I see the Platters, I have to buy one. And of course, The Great Pretender is perhaps one of the greatest songs ever. And you know, despite the age, this one is amazingly good shape. It was only when I got home that I realized that I overlooked the fact that it was in a chrysalis label. It looked like it got chewed on by a dog, but I ultrasonically cleaned this record and I just played it and it sounds fantastic. I also have a collection of Halloween 45s, and so anytime there's a mention of ghosts or ghouls or the devil, I pick them up because at my local thrift shop, these records are 50 cents each, and I figured I couldn't go wrong with it. This record by Buddy Knox is great, and I'm going to tell you, I had never heard of Buddy Knox before, and before anyone gives me crap, I can't believe you never heard of blah, blah, blah. Well, you're not shot out of the womb knowing everything all the time, right? So you got to hear something for the first time somewhere, and tonight was the first time I heard this. This is a great record, Halloween inspired or not. This is just a really cool rockabilly track. This is sort of reminiscent of, you know, Buddy Holly, all the cool stuff that was happening back then. I'm a new fan. I'm going to check out some more Buddy Knox stuff. There was another 45 in the exact same spot, also called Devil Woman, but this was the Marty Robbins tune. This one, it's very nice, but it was no Buddy Knox. This was definitely Marty Robbins style. I have a few students, because I teach high school music, who are into, you know, old style music. One in particular is into some Marty Robbins stuff. I'm gonna have him take a listen to this one. I haven't looked any of these up yet. You know, probably worth exactly the 50 cents I paid for them, but to me, they're worth more than that. So listen, Bobby Darin is absolutely one of the topmost performers of the 20th century. The guy had more soul in his pinky than most people had in their entire bodies. I have a Canadian 78 version of Splish Splash, and I made the mistake of leaving it on a speaker one day, and one of my wife's cats jumped up, knocked it down, broke it completely in half. I have super glued it together because 78s are forgiving, it still plays. I was heartbroken about it. Found this one on 45 today, and it makes me feel a little bit better. This one sounds terrific. These were all in really cool sleeves also. So someone had kind of taken care of these. And you can see the grooves aren't bad. It was pretty dirty when I got it. Ultrasonic cleaning really took it the extra level, and when I played it, it sounded great. So now I've got the Canadian Promo 78 that is glued back together that I can use for display purposes, and I've got this one for playing. I bought this one for my little girl. She's a Beach Boys fan. Obviously a reissue. I haven't actually heard this version. I played this one just to test it today. It sounded great. If I see an Atlantic label, I will usually buy it unless it's Laura Branigan's Gloria, because I already have a copy of that. That seems to be the one that comes up the most in thrift shops. Super psyched to find the spinners. I don't know if it's just nostalgia, but lately I've been loving the spinners, and this medley is one of my favorite to listen to. You know, you got a great Sam Cooke song coupled with I Loved You for a Long Time. Have this one on album, which is a longer version, but really fun to have the 45 of this one as well. Don't let the label fool you. The grooves are in really nice shape. Don't know what happened to the label. Atlantic, Clyde McPhatter. I actually believe that I was finally able to get this one on 78 not that long ago. Been sort of growing my post 50 78 collection, but 50 cents on 45, and again, pretty amazing shape. I will also say I'd never heard of Chuck Willis before, but I gave this one a listen. I've also never seen these 45 sleeves before. It looks like someone had a whole batch of these. There was a very large country collection. Does that not open up? It does not. Okay, it's just cut. But it had a few of these early R&B ones in it. Cool sleeve. But I checked it out. Chuck Willis, CC Rider. That is a good disc. That's one that I will put on more often than not. I'm embarrassed to say I saw Isley Brothers and I thought, oh cool, I'll pick that up. I don't know what that is. Completely forgetting that the Isley Brothers recorded Shout. Part 1 and part 2. This has got to be a reissue because looks like a 1970s version of a tune that was from the 60s, but it sounded great, and this will be fun also at whatever the next party is that we throw. Speaking of parties that we throw, we have a fair number of people who come to our parties and are really into music of the 80s. That is the only reason I got this. Argue with me about it all you want. Buddy Holly, speaking of which, found this great reissue, Every Day in Peggy Sue. Any one of you out there ever see the Quantum Leap with Buddy Holly in it? Oh my gosh, still one of my favorite episodes of all time. Again, looks like it's hardly ever been played. These have all been cleaned. These are a lot of fun to play on my garage turntable. So, because I have a lot of vintage equipment, I'm also really excited whenever I find a really cool 10-inch LP. Again, like I said, I do teach music, and one of the things that I teach is every winter I teach Leroy Anderson's Sleigh Ride to my band classes. You put a small fish in a small bowl, it's going to stay small. You put them in a big bowl, they're going to get bigger. Sleigh Ride is a challenging piece to play for any wind player. I bring it back every year, and I love watching my kids just work really hard at it. When I found this, of not only Leroy Anderson conducting these pieces, but also some of his other pieces, I was super psyched to get it. And when I pulled the vinyl out of the sleeve, I mean, look at that. That is a 70-year-old record. I have it out because it was still drying from the cleaning. I also thought this one was cool. And for $1 per record, I haven't looked this one up either. This is going to be a good listen. Actually, as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to go and throw this one on. Can't wait to give that one a listen. Calypso's Edmundo Ross and his orchestra. Chocolate whiskey and vanilla gin. Brown skin gal. I mean, just the titles alone. Virgin Islands. Can't wait to give that one a listen. I also found this one. Ben Pollock and his orchestra. Picture Benny Goodman right on the front. Another 10-inch record. Also with Jimmy McPartland. For those of you who've ever listened to Maria McPartland, is that her name? I think it was. Show on NPR back in the days. Jack Teagard and Glenn Miller. Some great tracks on here. And the vinyl was just in, except for that little speck, which I've now, okay, maybe I'll have to clean that one more time. It's funny, it shows up on camera, but not in person. Anyway, another cool 10-inch record to add to my collection. I have quite a collection going of those. This one's very personal. My family came from the Cantabria region, the province of Santander, back in the early 1900s. I happened to play in a band with some bagpipers, and because of that, I actually have a Spanish gaita. And when I saw that bagpipe on the cover, we even had a foreign exchange student who came from Galicia. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I had to pick this one up. And like most of these records that you find in a thrift store, it looks unplayed, except for the fact that it's separated. A little bit of glue, fix that right up. All right. I don't know much about this record, but it's Lou Reed. And it's Lou Reed from 1974, which seems, well, kind of early. I was surprised at how good a shape the actual record itself was. There is a seam split at the top. I actually take manila folders and I cut them small, and I actually repair seam splits with it. If I ever sell a record, I definitely let folks know that it has been repaired. No one likes a seam split. But, I mean, look at that. It's nuts. Looks like the jacket did its job. It protected this record for 50 years. And I can do that math fairly quickly because I was also born in 1974, same time as that record came out. This is one of the first records I put on when I got it. And I actually texted my son to tell him that I was listening to this record. I had tears in my eyes and a smile on my face. This is Ray Charles. I couldn't believe it when I saw it in the bin. I couldn't believe that anyone hadn't picked this up already. Coronet issue, self-titled Ray Charles. I usually avoid these electronically reprocessed ones, but when they come up in a thrift store bin for $1 or $2, there's no way I'm going to pass on it. It does have a huge seam split. So again, I'm gonna repair this with manila folder, small piece folded and then glued into the top. But yet again, the jacket did its job. There's this one spot here, and when I listened to it, it gave a couple of pops. But again, for $2 on that was a great listen to, and it was better than going to the movies. There were a few records that looked like they had been through a flood, perhaps. One of which was this Kinks record. You can see it's still drying a little bit. Just came off the drying rack. This is the Kinks You Really Got Me mono 3-tone label reprise record. Look, there it goes, drying. I pulled this out, and of course I don't like to get records without their covers too much, but at the same time, vinyl is the way I like to listen to stuff. And if I could listen to the Kinks in mono on vinyl, yeah, a little bummer about that. I haven't quite figured out yet if this is on top of the label or if this is the label peeled off, but if it's water soluble, I'll get it off later. Anyway, again, couldn't help but get it. Maybe someday I'll find a cover with a trashed record and have a really nice record to throw in there. Picked this up for my kid. He's a Willie Nelson fan. This one I did not ultrasonically clean, and that's because it's in great shape. Oh, it's actually a London sleeve. I don't think I even recognize that. Willie, still going strong. And then 24 of Hank Williams' greatest hits, double album. Got charged like it was one. I did go through and pull out the records just to make sure, and yet again, aside from little pieces of dust, look like they're unplayed. So I'd say overall, it was a great day. I had a lot of fun going through the thrift store. I would say that this is perhaps the one I'm most excited about. This one is kind of cool. I'll take a look and I'll see, maybe what it's worth, and maybe I'll sell this one and it'll help me to pay for everything else that I got. Or I'll listen to it, I'll fall in love, and I'll become a Lou Reed fan. Who knows? Anyway, stuff is still out there. It's fun to look, and thrift stores can be your friends. Have a good weekend, everyone.